your boy, George Billionaire. Again, every single Monday, we are here to take you to a place you haven't been to before, transforming your mindset so that you are provoked, inspired, but most importantly, equipped. Today is an amazing day, and we're going to be talking about 3 P's that guarantee success. There are a lot of P's in life, but these 3 P's, from what I have studied, from what I have gathered, from what I have looked up on, are the most important 3 things that have guaranteed that anybody and everybody who ever became great and successful ultimately achieved success. If I were you, I would make sure I watch this right until to the end. Make sure as always you click like, you subscribe, and you click on that bell notification to make sure that every single upload we have, you make sure you watch it. One thing that I'm going to be long remembered for is giving you this information, not for free, but to transform not only your life, but the people around you, because we need to be remembered for something. Even you need to be remembered for something. And this for me was a specific purpose that God gave in me, that all that you have learned, make sure that you give it out, so that my people will not perish because of lack of knowledge. They will have the key knowledge, the key wisdom to become great individuals and conquer and do mighty exploits and become royal priesthoods and dominate and do so many things on this planet. So that's my purpose, and I'm only doing this so that you can get out of this comfort zone you're in and stop murmuring and complaining, but to begin to do something. So today, 3 P's that guarantee success. Make sure you watch until the end, and watch it twice, because I'm telling you, this is going to be jam-packed. Alahad, it's your boy. Let's go.
Right, I've got George Billionaire in the studio, right? And we're going to be discussing the 3 P's that guarantee success. Hello and welcome to the show, George.
Hello.
And thank you so much for being here.
It's your boy, George Billionaire, with none other, the one and only Olenta. Olenta, it's a pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure
on
to
Hustle
have you
Hard
too.
today.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot today.
There's going to be a lot that's going to be spoken about today.
Awesome.
Which is a sum total of principles that you will find people who have made it, who have become successful, have actually used and applied, and that has resulted in them becoming who they are in regards to being called successful. They've made it, or they've accomplished a certain number of things. Last week we were just going to do a short recap about what we spoke about last week.
Okay.
We're talking about what you feed your mind is as important as what you feed your body. So last week we were really focusing on mindset, talking about that. What are you spending your time consuming and wasting your time on unproductive things, wasting time going out, watching series, all these unproductive things.
Okay.
Especially in a year where we want to have tangible accomplishments in life, we need to manage our time, because time is given in the same proportion to every single human being who is alive. But what you do with your time is what differentiates Olenta from George, the person listening to us who is successful and the person who is not successful, the person who's going to be financially free to the person who is going to keep making excuses and blaming everybody else other than themselves. So time is so important. And if we begin to feed our mind with progressive things that help us, to build us, if we begin to make it a deliberate effort to read self-help books, to read how it is as a business we need to operate, especially in this very complicated place as the whole continent, as the whole world is going through. Because the problems you're seeing in Zimbabwe are not only Zimbabwean problems, they are happening even in America, in Australia, in China, wherever you are listening or watching us from, there are problems everywhere. But in order for you to change and become proactive, it's about you feeding yourself with positive things, seeing how you can adapt. I love the story, which a lot of people can relate with, which goes in regard to the life we're living today.
Okay.
Once upon a time, there was a mobile network company which was racking in great sales, and everybody in Africa used that specific mobile device. And it was very popular at that point in time, early 2000s. That was the phone. I know a lot of people listening right now, I don't even need to mention their name. But because of being content and not adapting to change, there were other players who were slowly creeping in, who decided, wait a minute, let's take off buttons from phones. Let's adapt a different way of thinking. Let's come up with a modern way of using a mobile device. And because that mobile device failed to adapt to change and remained doing the same thing they had been doing for many years, other mobile operators came and took over. And if you look at today, in this modern day and age, there are not many people using that device now because of failure to adapt to change. Now, wherever you're listening to me from, you've got this message, and this is to tell you that yes, you're in Zimbabwe, things could be tough. Yes, you're in Europe, you're in Canada, you're in China, wherever you are. Do not be an individual who is going to look and blame the government, blame the economy. There are other people in the same economy that you are in who are adapting to the changes and are saying, wait a minute, why don't I do something different and then create another better solution or a service in the same place that you're at. So as tough as things are wherever you're listening to us from, let's become people who our mindset needs to change. We really need to see the opportunities that are around us.
Okay.
I keep telling people that, especially here in Zim, there's so many things that are happening positively. And on the other end, there's so many things also which may not be happening as positively as people may think. But believe it or not, there's somebody every single day who is making money because they are providing a solution and a service. They are not making an excuse, but they are making a deliberate plan to be able to get that extra dollar into their business, into their pocket, by providing a service where everybody else is complaining.
It reminds me of saying, there's a book that I once read, Where the Mind Goes, the Man Follows. And it's quite an interesting book. And just looking at this recap that you just gave us about the mindset. So everything starts in the mind, right? That's what
Correct.
you're saying.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, success is an inside job. And if your mind is not there, you'll never reach that place. So if majority of people who are always murmuring and complaining, I love the story in the Bible when the Egyptians were being taken to the promised land, right? Mm-hmm. They murmured and complained. So a journey of 40 days took 40 years, right? That just gets to tell you that if you're somebody who is always murmuring and complaining, I want you to do a self-evaluation on whether complaining or murmuring actually helps you. It doesn't. Complaining doesn't do anything.
No, it doesn't.
But the people who listen to the complaints and actually create solutions for those who are complaining are the ones who actually get what the people who are complaining never get. So let's not join the bandwagon of complainers, of people who are, I don't recall the last time anybody who murmurs and complains and is always, analyzing things in a negative. I don't remember those people ever making it in life.
Always focusing on the negative.
And we will never get to a place where we become people whose lives will change if all we do is see the negatives in the countries or nations we are in. We have to be part of the solutions to those problems that are currently being faced. And I remember one of my mentors telling me that, George, if you listen to a lot of complaints, if people are complaining about the roads, let's say, or the electricity, or the lack of water, those are potential business ideas. If you hear them being spoken of a lot,
that's very clear.
Therefore, there is an opportunity being presented by the many birds who are singing about that problem. But to he or she who doesn't see it, they may not see it. But when somebody sees that opportunity and seizes it, then they make money. So it's important wherever we are. Our mindset is so important. I cannot continue to emphasize that if you want to become successful, stop deliberately associating with negative-minded people who are always complaining. And this weekend I was around a lot of people who were murmuring and complaining. And I was like, I don't recall people who made it, who murmur and complain. I don't recall. But to those who deliberately see, okay, what can I do to stay afloat? Because these things that you're complaining, remember, are happening to everybody else.
Sure.
But if you go around and see others, they are still operating. There are buildings being built, there are houses being, people are buying new this, that, and the other in the same economy that you're in.
Yeah.
So don't worry about the masses, because, the Bible says those with a negative mind and those who are poor, you will always have them. But there's an elite group of people who seize opportunities and make the most of them. So that was a basic recap of last week.
Okay. So now, actually, then now going back to today's topic, we want to discuss the 3 P's that guarantee success. And from what I figured out, from your recap, you're saying you should never focus on the negatives, because it creates that negative aura around you, and then it actually makes it difficult for you to move and be able to have positive steps and succeed. So now, what are the 3 P's that guarantee success, and how do they then relate to personal and professional growth?
Wow, okay. So the 3 P's, get your pens and paper ready wherever you are. Okay. For those who are watching us live, for those who are going to watch this, These 3 P's basically for me are what I have defined as the most important things that somebody needs to have in order for you to be successful. So the first P, number 1, you have to be passionate, right? Okay. The first P is passionate. You have to be passionate. Now, passion is a term that talks about how much you love what you do. Now, one thing I've seen, especially in regard to the many people who mentor me or the greats, they are so in love with what they do, so invested in what they do. They are passionate about it, that they eat, sleep, drink, whatever, product or industry they are in. When you talk about one of the best-selling Zimbabwean musicians in the country, you've got specific names that automatically come to mind, and you can tell the passion that this person has. When you talk about a talk show host in Zimbabwe, whether you like it or not, you're going to see that lady, well-known, who's been in the industry for many years, because she is passionate about it. When we talk about the best soccer footballer in the whole wide world, already you can tell it's this specific individual. So when you're passionate about something, people will know you for what you do when your name is mentioned.
Okay.
Be so passionate and so good at something that when somebody mentions air conditioning, your name comes up. When somebody mentions radio personality, your name comes up. When somebody is talking about, I need to buy a motor vehicle, your name and brand should come up. That's what happens when you are passionate. And for me, I've seen so many greats here in the country of Zimbabwe. And this is one thing that they've told me, that, George, when you fall in love with what you do, that thing will speak on your behalf and people will identify you with that thing. Because you are so passionate about that thing.
All right. So you know what? You just reminded me of this conversation that I had with certain people. And everyone was saying, you know what? There's no such thing as following your passion. You know what I mean? You need to find something that you can do and then fall in love. And you just mentioned something like that. Is it possible then to fall in love with what you do, or you need to do what you love and then you do it so well it becomes reputable? Which way do you think the best way?
I think for me, the most important thing that people fail to understand, I'll take an example for our local amazing talk show host, my Dr. Rebecca Chisamba. She, when you mention her name, automatically you can tell that she has followed her passion for the most, because that's always been in her, to teach culture, tradition, and she's always focusing on family, building relations. That's her, right? If you see her, you see that. If you look at Philip Mataranyika, right, you can tell he's passionate about providing services in that specific thing. So people mistake the two, right? And they say, no, you need to be in love with your passion. But your passion is what generally you just are. I've said this to many people, that there's something that you, without getting a pay for, you can actually do.
Yeah.
Just. True. And if you fall in line and align that thing with what it is you're doing, you find a lot of people will come and support. I spoke about it on the shows before about Honorable Scott Sakupwanya, right? We know him for doing gold and all of this, but recently he started a soccer team, right? And he's always had a love for soccer, right? But when he started it, it's one thing that he loves, right? He even plays himself. But look, when he started it now the team has been promoted. How many people have now come in on board and now have sponsored and helped his team to get to the next level? So when you follow your passion, sometimes it's not the most popular according to people, but it's what you want to do.
Yeah.
It's about you following your gut. And when you follow your gut, the rewards will come, especially when you find the right thing that you're doing. All of us have a God-ordained mandate and purpose. Yeah. And when you find it, you'll find little to no effort at all.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I haven't seen any other soccer team like Scotland being supported by corporates in just their second year of existence. Yeah. They've received more sponsorship than teams that have been there for many years. So that's about following your passion. Follow it. Follow that thing that a lot of people may say, no, you're just wasting money. No, it's not going to pay you. But if you stick with that gut, sooner than later, you'll be surprised. It will lead you to a place where, you will lead in a lot of profit.
Oh, nice. So how then do the 3 Ps intersect and support one another? Okay, we'll talk about that when you finish the other two, right? And someone comes through here and says, which book would you recommend in 2025? And I want to renew my mind in 2025.
All right, so you should look for a book by Malcolm Gladwell called Good to Great. Right, you will stop settling for being good and become great. Okay, on to number 2, our second P. Our second P is you gotta be persistent. Right? Number 1, passion. You gotta be passionate. You gotta love what you do. Number 2, persistence. Now, persistence is an important key because, I love the word of God in Matthew 7, verse 7. It says, ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall find. Knock. That's the key thing. Are you knocking? Being continually persistent leads people to success. Now, we all know the story about Thomas Edison, who created the light bulb, who failed 9,999 times, right? Until he finally found the correct way. And you'll find in business, you're not going to make it the first time. You're not going to get a sale the first month, second month. Your team is not going to be promoted. Your business is not going to face profits the very initial stage. But persistence is what overcomes failure. People have failed once, twice, and given up. But in the law of success and becoming great, you must have fallen a minimum of at least 7 times before you actually reach the destination where you are now flying above and creating something which is profitable and good. Now, if you find most successful people they've tried this business, it didn't work out. 1 year, they didn't make any great sales. And think about this, before COVID, did we know about Zoom? No. But that person was consistently persistent with that thing, working and developing his app. He tried to have 20 people on it, 30, 100, and over 2 years, it became a multi-billion-dollar company because they stuck true. They were persistent. How many of us are persistent when we get a no? Some of us, the first time you get a no, you're like, it was a bad idea. Let me close ship.
True.
The first month you didn't make any sales. It didn't work. You start to build your house. Washika pa level is raoma. Shekuwaka, you know what? Let me just leave it alone. Let me sell. That's not how life is. To those who have become greats in life, they have been persistent. They have been ones who, when the going gets tough, they get even tougher. Those are the greats you hear about in this country of Zimbabwe, where people who wanted to start a business, they sold their house, they liquidated, they went to stay in one room because they believed in that vision. They were persistent. It's definitely going to succeed. And that's the type of attitude you need to have, especially in times like this where things are tough, because things are going to get even tougher in years to come. But only those who are resilient, only those who are persistent will ultimately have the doors open and they will excel. There are many people who, if they knock once, I tried, nothing opened.
Yeah.
But, every time at home, I have a daughter, young. She will not stop knocking.
Yeah.
She will keep knocking
Until you open the door.
until the door will open. And that's the same thing with business and in life. I remember when we started Pro Air in 2012, there were specific clients that we tried the first time, second time, third time. And had we given up the third time, we probably would have not gotten the job on the fourth time. And that's the key thing in business. Yeah, you may send your profile. Yeah, we know you do this, but you need to constantly keep calling. You need to constantly keep letting people that you are there. Persistence is key, because without persistence, you will never reach the other side.
Okay.
So whatever it is you're doing, do not be dismayed by the current economic challenges. Do not be dismayed by the challenges that you are facing as an individual, but keep pushing. Make your business be known. Make sure on social media you are constantly letting people know that you are there. You offer these products, because just like I said earlier on, the company that closed many years ago, right, died because they got complacent. They were not persistently updating the current trends, and they lost out. So we need to be persistent in order for us to achieve a lot of great things in our life.
Okay. And with this persistence, does persistence and perseverance work hand in hand?
Yes, correct.
We're looking at the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So perseverance does pay, yeah?
Perseverance is resilience, which is the same with persistence.
Persistence.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Perseverance is that not giving up attitude. You can't give up, because when you give up, you will not know. I love the picture of the guy who's digging for diamonds, and then the guy gets a small one, and then this guy thinks, I've been digging, same level, but I haven't reached anything. But then had he kept digging just a little bit more, he was going to get a far bigger.
Yes.
And that's the thing with life. And I was speaking recently at an institution where I said flowers blossom at different stages in life.
Sure.
When you see others succeed, don't be dismayed as an entrepreneur. We all have our different times and seasons to blossom. You just keep going on your trade. Sooner than later, you will get a harvest.
Yeah,
But the moment you stop watering your plant because you think, it's not going to, that's the time the opportunity flies past you and it goes to someone else. But had you not left that place where you were at, it would have come your way. So let's remain, laser focused and keep on being persistent. And sooner than later, we will reach. Our third P that guarantees success is one a lot of people do not like, and people don't have this one, right? The third P is patience. Patience. People think that success is like putting food in the microwave and in 2 minutes, your food is readily done. And you think, hey, a full meal is cooked in 2 minutes.
Patience is a virtue, George.
Patience is a virtue indeed, but good things take time. But one thing about great things, they take even longer. We want microwave solutions to success. We want to plant a seed today, and in 2 weeks, you have harvested $1 million, $2 million. I've learned from the many greats in this country who have been in business for 20, 25, 30 years. I've learned from billionaires in Africa that true success is remaining resilient for 30 years plus for you to get billionaire dollar status. It takes time, but others think, wait a minute, it just takes 1 month. I make this deal, that, and it's done. Well, this is an announcement. Success does not come that quickly.
You literally became Amos, the prophet of doom, right away.
There's no success which will live long, which comes quickly. There isn't. If you see an overnight success, it will only last overnight, because they do not understand that for something to be established, just like a seed, first what grows are the roots. It's not seen.
Sure.
It does not pop out of the ground until its root system has been established. Then it begins to grow. But with majority of our current generation, we believe so much in the get rich quick scheme, which we have seen so many people being bogus, so many people losing large amounts of money. Invest $1,000, get 5,000 return within 30 days. There's no way, there's no magic on this planet where if I plant a seed today, I'll be able to eat the fruit within 3 months. There's nothing like that.
Yeah.
So when we hear of things like that, even your business, it's going to take time. Slowly but surely, you will grow. There is an importance of a child growing up. There's no child I remember being born, being able to run out of the mother's womb. Hakuna zvakadaro. Wakona zvakadaro, pane problem somewhere. Right? There's something very wrong.
Yeah.
First, you carry them around. They then begin to crawl. They first make baby steps. You celebrate on the one step standing. They begin to take gradual steps. Before you know it, they are running. But all of that is a transition of time. There is patience. You'll never hear a startup entrepreneur running. No, it takes time. And this is where our patience, atina chinchunonzi patience, because social media has pressured us to believe, wait, I want that car.
Yeah.
I want that lifestyle. I want to also get on a jet. I also want to go to that holiday resort. I also want that house. But to those who are wise, let us not be people who perish and think, wait, this person did it overnight. The person who you are seeing on an aeroplane, you don't know what they did, what they went through for them to live the lifestyle that they are living. They've been in business many years, but yet you who is starting, you want to jump that stage and go to the end result. You know, people, if you watch a movie 15 minutes before it ends, you won't understand what happens at the beginning. You have to understand the process. But in order for these blue chip, well-established businesses to be in existence today, it was patience, it was hard work. There are years they recorded losses. There are years things were not economically okay.
Yeah.
But
And you know, and I think it's also something that we really need to take note as society and as people who are upcoming entrepreneurs, to know that Rome was not built in one day. And very few people get to post their losses, right?
True.
People get to post their successes, the good things, and the bad things and the hassles will be happening behind
closed
the
doors.
scenes. Yeah.
So people really neglect that, and like you're rightfully saying, we only get to see the good things and never the bad things. Social media will always show you what happened, which was good. The new car, the holidays,
Sure.
the bag of money. But they'll never show you the times they slept in the office, they were evicted, they didn't have sales for 6 months, they were mocked, ridiculed, laughed at, abandoned, their spouses left them, all of that is never seen.
That one.
All of that is never seen. But then we need to understand that good things, remember this, good things take time.
Okay.
But if you want to be great, it's going to even take longer. But once your root system is established, no matter what storm comes, you will not be shaken left or right. and you will ultimately become successful. So these are 3 P's which I have seen. There are so many top 10 success principles: hard work, discipline, sacrifice, not gratifying yourself, all these things that are there. But these 3 things, you gotta be passionate. When people mention your name from today onwards, and do this simple assessment by yourself, write on your social media, what 3 things come to your mind when you hear my name. Some of you will be very shocked because that's what you're showing people. Some of you, you're known as the party person, the stunt Manchester United supporter, the guy who likes this, that, and the other, the lady. Yes. So you have to be known by what you do. And like I said, work on your brand as an individual.
Okay.
Work on what it is that people think about when they see you. Do people know you? To be persistent. I've always heard from my friends who I grew up with to say, George, we knew George was going to be this, that, and the other, because we saw it. George was hungry. George always wanted this. Be that person that people can say, you know what, whatever she starts, whatever he starts, he finishes. He's somebody who has a specific standard. He does not settle for average. Be that person that no matter what, you are persistent and you want to be great in what you do.
Thank you so much, George. This is so enlightening. The 3 P's, we are discussing the 3 P's, and with me in the studio I have George Billionaire, who's helping us to unpack this whole phenomenon. So we're going to come back and discuss more about this soon after this short break. And in the studio I have George Billionaire, who is helping me unpack this phenomenon of the 3 P's, and he's just been telling us, the 3 P's that guarantee success, and how then they relate to personal and professional growth. George, how do then these 3 P's intersect and support one another in achieving success?
So passion is key in life. Now, if you're not passionate about whatever it is that you're good at or that you do, a lot of people won't recognize you or know you for what you do. That's one thing that is very difficult to identify individuals with, because when you ask yourself, what am I good at? What do I want to be known for? I've made a deliberate effort for me and what I do. I think a lot of people who know me know exactly what I'm passionate about, because I'm wearing it every day. I'm talking about it every other day. It shows passion. And whenever I walk up in a room, people know what I do. So in order for you to make it in this life, it should be a very simple thing that you need to implement in your life. That, wait, what are people thinking that I do? What do people know me for? Okay. And you work on that. So passion plays a very important role, because without passion and without persistence, which we've already highlighted on, because that keeping on doing something, there's an acronym which I've always said, which is FOCUS. Follow one course until success. FOCUS. If you follow one course until success and you're passionate about it and you're persistent on it, people will know you for what you do. Like I've said, if I mention specific names of individuals because of their passion and persistence, you can immediately identify that, wait a minute, best footballer in the world is this, because of that deliberate focus, the laser focus on one thing. I mean, there's a quote which says, do not be a jack of all trades and a master of none. All, and I mean all successful individuals have had laser focus on one thing, until that thing became successful. Then after this thing has reached a level of success, they can diversify and do many other things. Okay. But if you mention their name, that one thing that brought them up is what always comes up. They may have many entities, many subsidiaries, many, different streams of income they have, but there's one thing that they are known for. And that's the most important thing.
But most people will be trying this and that, until you find your thing. Isn't that allowed, at least in business? Because, sometimes you think, okay, this is my thing. And then you try it and you feel like, no, it's not. Let me just try this again. And then maybe even in the process of trying to find what really is your passion and where your strength is, and then you end up doing so many things, and then you finally find that. Aren't there cases like that?
They are. I mean, I worked in various institutions before I found my love for air conditioning now.
Okay.
Right? But in order for me then to focus on my love for air conditioning, which is what I do now, and, you know, providing all these, you know, benefits in people's cars, homes, office, I had to deliberately say, wait a minute, I sold phones. I was at Zimex Mall. I was one of those guys. I sold paints. I worked at Belgravia Service Center. I worked at the paint people. I did a lot of things.
Okay.
But with what I then found, I intentionally surrounded myself with mentors.
Okay.
If ever you want to start something, do not go and ask your sister who has no recollection of business at all to say, do you think this is a good idea? When you ask somebody who has a technical know-how or who's walked that journey, they will add some wood into your fire. They will add some hope, some inspiration to say, listen, if you really focus on this and give it your all, this will succeed. So most people would then quit and, you know, I tried this, it didn't work. I can guarantee you these are people who had a plan B. If you have a plan B, the entrepreneurship, I'll go back and find a job. Stay at the job, because entrepreneurship is not for you. But if you are somebody who is laser focused on saying, you know what, this must work. No matter come rain or sunshine, I must keep working on this craft until this thing then gives me the reward, just like we're talking about with Zoom and all these other things that are happening now.
Okay.
It's about working hard on that craft, and sooner than later you will begin to see a return.
So, you know,
on
George,
investment.
you know, sakana time ya kana zvakunakidza kudai zvagaina momentum like this, time becomes so jealous like it is right now. But I like the fact that you came up with those 3 P's: passion, persistence, and patience. And there's something that you said that I really liked, and you said good things take time, but great things take even longer. And thank you so much for that. And Danze, follow a course and this until you are successful. So where do people follow you on your socials?
All right, so George is found on all social media platforms, on YouTube. I'm sure people will go on our YouTube, will see all of these Hustle Hard episodes. On LinkedIn, it's George Billionaire. And my number is 0712 840 840.
Okay, come again.
0712 840 840.
All right, thank you so much, George, for coming through to yet another episode of Hustle Hard. So until next week same time, you guys have a great day. Well, this will take us to the news. Naisha K, give me your love. Thank you, George.